take it on a stage further then.
Right.
We've ended up with a two-dimensional triangle.
A two-dimensional triangle. Okay, so we're bringing in the concept of dimensions, we're bringing in the concept of frequency, and we're bringing in the concept of right angles.
Yeah.
Okay, now imagine a point somewhere in the middle of that triangle and draw upwards to create another point. Okay.
And indeed another dimension.
And another dimension. What does that tell us now about the triangle?
That it's got some height to it.
Brilliant. Height is the important thing because that's the dimensions we work in. Absolutely excellent. Without height,
so I get a merit mark for that.
Yeah. Brownie points. Woohoo! We'll award them as we go through. 2.5.
Thanks.
So we're working dimensionally. Did you notice as well that that line, if you've got your piece of paper in front of you, that line has come up at right angles to
yes.
the piece of paper.
Yes.
So we're right angles. Really important point. That's why the L comes in so much in here, the whole kind of dimensional stuff. It's creating lattice work of right angles. Okay, so we now have a triangle which has a top to it, which makes a triangular pyramid. Three-dimensional. We know how big it is because we know it has height, we know it has breadth, we know how it has width. But what are we referencing that to?
And what you're going to see now are what happens to particles of sand and other various particles when a sound resonates across a plate and resonates those particles in tune with the sound. Because when we think, we're not just sending out a wave which resonates the energy, we're sending out on a frequency outside of the range of human hearing, we're sending out a sound. Everything is sound. When we think, a sound goes out, it resonates the energy around us to that sound. And what you're about to see are some pictures that show this happening when sound is introduced, and how sound takes random particles and turns it into astonishing form. And that's how this universe was created. In the beginning was the Word was sound. So what you're looking at here is merely particles formed into patterns by sound. They were all over the place to start with, just in random positions on the plate. As soon as the sound appears, they form into these patterns because everything is sound. And it is sound that turns matter and energy into form. Patterns on wings of birds and insects are all the manifestation of the sound vibrations. Every organ in our body resonates to a certain frequency, and when our thoughts and emotions and stress and the vibrations that causes de-harmonize the vibrational state of our various parts of our body, we become ill. We think ourselves into illness because we're affecting the vibrational state of the body. And so every time you think and feel, you're resonating a frequency which is making the energy around you resonate to the same frequency. What you give out is what you create. Here you're seeing mini galaxies just formed by particles and sound. This is how the galaxies and the universe and the solar systems were formed and continue to be held in the structure they're in through sound. If the sound changes, the matter changes, the energy changes. So when you look at what it says in texts like even the Old Testament, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was sound. And sound is everything. When you think and feel, you create in sound. This is how the heart beats at a certain resonance. All you're looking at here are interacting frequencies making a beat. And so while the frequency of the heart is at the right level, beats in the normal number of beats a minute. But when we become stressed, we affect that frequency and the heart beats faster. And so everything is sound, even the human heartbeat, and the interacting frequencies that make it happen. And we've seen the galaxies, and now here are the planets forming, just on a plate from particles caused by sound passing through them. this planet has a resonant frequency. It's called the Schumann cavity resonance. But basically, while that frequency holds, the planet will hold its present form. If the frequency changes, the form will change. It's the same with everything. And here you see sound being passed through iron filings and particles, and therefore creating form once again. And from these pictures, it's hardly difficult to see how the human body is formed through sound resonating energy, and how that physical form is held as long as that sound matrix is held. But once that changes, the physical body changes. So there you've seen, with stunning effect, how sound creates form, how galaxies are created, how planets are created. And all those planets, balls of particles, all those revolving galaxies were merely particles turned into that form by sound.
A young woman about 27 or 8, and her first words were, when I had seated her, she said, "You know, doctor, I come to you because I have a snake in my abdomen." I said, "What?" She said, "Yes, a snake, a black snake, coiled up right in the bottom of my abdomen." And I must have made a rather bewildered face at her. And she said, "You know, I don't mean it literally, but I should say it was a snake. It was a snake." Well, now, that is a collective symbol. That is not an individual fantasy. That is a collective fantasy. That is well known in India. For instance, it has nothing to do with India, but we have it too, which was generally human, but it's entirely unknown. So that I, even in the first moment, thought, perhaps she's crazy. But she was only highly intuitive. It is in India known. It is the basis of a whole philosophical system of Tantrism. This is Kundalini. Kundalini serpent. I see. You see, and that is something known to some few specialists. Generally, it's not known that we have a serpent in the abdomen. But that is a collective. You see, that is a collective dream or a collective fantasy.